Good morning everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is something a little bit different. I'll be doing a Q&A on how I got into NUS Dentistry. And I've enlisted the help of some of my friends, which you will see later. So hopefully this video will be quite interesting and informational as well. I split this video into 4 main segments, namely the application process, my personal portfolio, the culture and workload in dentistry, as well as other personal questions. So without further ado, let's get started!
What exactly is the MDT?
The MDT consists of a few tasks that you need to complete within a given time limit of, I believe, 60 minutes. And each task has detailed instructions for you to follow. They basically are looking out for how nimble your hands are, your attention to detail, your precision and fine motor skills, as well as your ability to have good time management to complete all the tasks within the given time limit.
So how can I prepare for it?
I didn't do much prep beforehand, but I know some of my friends, they did things like soap carving or molding plasticine. Since the tasks vary from year to year, it's very hard to predict what exactly will come out and prepare for it. But I feel like if you have hobbies such as crocheting or playing instruments or drawing, they will already have trained your dexterity to a certain level and it will definitely help you in completing the MDT tasks.
What are the MMIs and what is the format like?
Basically, the multiple mini interviews consist of a circuit of stations which require applicants to engage in interviews, discussions or specific activities. The stations can include tasks in various areas and are not just related to dentistry.
So how can we prepare for it?
In my opinion, the main thing that you need to be clear on is really why you want to pursue dentistry as a career. You should try to carry yourself with confidence and basically just be clear and concise in your answers so that you can articulate yourself well to your interviewers. For the scenario-based stations, you can't really prepare, so just go according to your gut feel and how you would actually respond if you were put in that situation. You can look at the interview as a way for the admissions committee to see who you really are as a person, your opinions, your values, and your approach to challenging situations.
What was your JC?
And what subject combination do you take?
I was in the IB program in ACS Independent and my subject combination was PCME, HL, Physics, Chem, Math, SL, Econs, Lang Lit, and Chinese. I get this question quite a lot from people who are entering into JC. Should I pick IB or A levels? I don't think either puts you at a disadvantage when you're applying to dentistry. So you should just go according to the one that suits your working style better. What I mean is that IB focuses more on consistent efforts, and while it's stressful, it really helps to take the load off exams because unlike A levels, your final grade is an accumulation of work that you've put in the past 2 years rather than just having one big final exam at the end of your 2 years. So yeah, since I was more of a put in consistent effort rather than mugging for one final exam at the end of 2 years kind of person, I chose to go for the IB route. But if you're the opposite of me, then I think maybe you can go for the A level route. Just choose which one you think will suit your working style better. Besides that, a lot of people have also asked me whether taking physics over bio puts you at a significant disadvantage. Well, I can't say that there's no difference at all when learning the theoretical subjects in year 1 and year 2. I wouldn't say the difference is really very big. The only subject that I really could feel the difference in was biochem, which we learned in year 1 sem 1 because there was quite a bit of content that was already covered in HL or H2 bio, such as molecular genetics, the glycolysis and TCA cycle kind of things. For the physics students, all of this information was new to us, so we had to naturally put in more effort to learn and understand the content. But it's still manageable. Don't worry if you're a physics student who is currently looking into dentistry.
What was your CCA and what other extracurriculars did you have in your portfolio?
In IB, we had this CAS portfolio where we had to do stuff under each category of creativity, activity, and service. So all I did was submit my CAS portfolio inside my application. If I remember correctly, the portfolio had like reflections or short write-ups for each item. So there was context for the admissions committee when they looked through my application. Honestly, a lot of the items inside my portfolio were pretty small things because it was kind of just a lot of new experiences that I had over the 2 years that I was in the IB program. But I do remember a few specific examples which I will say right now. For creativity, I included learning to play the guitar as well as starting a food blog. Go follow my Piggy Palette on Instagram. For activity, I included learning to ride a bicycle. Yes, I only learned how to ride a bicycle when I was 17 years old. As well as my swimming CCA because I participated in NSG and other competitions. Finally, for service, in year 5 I actually participated in this reading program by Hardware and I wrote an article that was actually featured on their website, so I think that might have been helpful in my application. education. Essentially, I think it's just important that your portfolio showcases you as a well-rounded individual who has hobbies and interests outside of school.
Hi, do you have any job shadowing or internship experiences?
Yep, after IB, I did a 3-month full-time job at a dental clinic. It mainly consisted of administrative work, and I occasionally observed the dentist do some more complicated procedures such as implant surgery. I think the experience really helped me to see the ins and outs of a dental practice, like the different roles that are necessary to keep the clinic running smoothly. Though I didn't have much experience as a dental assistant like some of my other friends did, I think my experience taught me a lot of soft skills like patient management and communication with my colleagues that will probably be really beneficial to me in the future. So the bottom line is, regardless of what your job scope is, I definitely recommend getting an internship or job shadowing opportunity such that you can get a glimpse of what being a dentist really entails.
How much does the learning environment and workload differ from JC?
I'd say the lesson format is pretty similar to JC. Since our cohort is small, there's only 80 of us every single year, and we have the same timetable and fixed mods or subjects that we have to take, unlike other courses where you have to bid for mods and do other electives. Especially for year 1, where it's mostly lectures, tutorials, and I think sim lab once to twice a week. It's very much like JC in the sense that you learn the theory, memorize the theory, and then take an exam at the end of the semester. In terms of studying, I felt that there's a lot more self-directed learning. Lectures average about 2 hours each, and you really need to do your own revision because once they finish one topic, they straight away go to the next one already. Most subjects are very content heavy, and there's a lot more depth and details compared to what you learn in JC.
Amber, what's the culture in dentistry like?
So the heavy workload and stress aside, I must say that my journey in dentistry the past almost 2 full years has been a rather positive one. I love how everyone knows each other because of our small cohort size. Even though we aren't all close and there are naturally different friend groups that form, I like how everyone is still friendly to each other and we can easily talk about random things during break. Especially for the lab work. I think year 2 really showed me this wholesome culture in my batch. Because even though everyone's moving at their own pace, the faster ones are usually happy to help, to give tips from their experience. And even when there are fails, we also share them in the class chat pretty openly so that we can learn from each other and avoid making the same mistakes in the future. So yeah, I feel like this creates a very nice environment where we can improve as a cohort. Now moving on to the 4th and final segment, which is other personal questions.
What hobbies did you have that you think have been helpful?
So the first thing that comes to mind is definitely playing the guitar, because pressing all the chords made my fingers a lot more nimble and strong, which has been beneficial in my lab work. Also in the past, when I was in primary school, I used to be obsessed with this thing called nano blocks. I don't know if y'all have ever seen it. They used to sell it in Kinokuniya. It's basically like tiny Lego. Yeah, so I think doing all those nano blocks helped train my fingers to pick up tiny stuff and make precise movements.
Why do you choose dentistry and not medicine?
Well, I think this is the most common question that I get. So my answer is, dentistry is a much more practical subject, whereas medicine is more didactic. Immediately after graduation, dentists treat patients already, whereas medical doctors, their job scope mainly focuses on diagnosing and prescribing medications to patients to help to treat their sickness. Since I've enjoyed doing hands-on stuff like arts and crafts since I was small, fun fact, my very first CCA in kindergarten was arts club. I would say I have pretty stable hands. So yeah, I hope that I would be able to use this skill that I have developed over the years to help people in the future. Secondly, I think I'm someone who really treasures interpersonal connections a lot. And as a dentist, I believe you're able to build more personal and close relationships with your patients. Because technically, by right, a dentist is supposed to see their patients every 6 to 12 months for regular checkups. So I think this helps to foster a close bond between the dentist and the patient, versus a medical doctor who will only see his or her patients when they are sick. So yes, I think the opportunity that dentists have to really connect with their patients is a huge draw for me and part of the reason why I went for dentistry instead of medicine.
Were you already set on dentistry when you entered JC?
Yes and no. Being a dentist was actually my childhood dream because I used to love going to the dentist. I know a lot of kids hate it, right? But I really love the smell of a dental clinic. I might sound a bit weird for saying this. I only seriously became interested in pursuing dentistry as a career, I think, in the second half of secondary school when we were choosing our O-level subject combis. That being said, dentistry wasn't the only thing that I had interest in. So when I was choosing my subject combi in year 5, I decided to go with one that opened up my options the most. But honestly, by the end of year 5, I was more or less set on wanting to pursue dentistry in uni.
Are you stressed?
Hahaha. So, short answer is yes. I think in dentistry so far it's been a pretty steep learning curve, because in year 1 we did mostly theoretical stuff, which was very similar to what we did in JC, so I felt the workload was still quite manageable. But once we started special sem and then we went into year 2, it was a lot more practical stuff. Having to balance theory and complete practicals concurrently is really not easy, because each subject already has a lot of content that you need to learn and internalize, and there's also a fair share of lab work that you have to complete. Also, there are going to be people who are able to absorb content really quickly and complete practicals really fast. Because if you think about it, right, the entry criteria into dentistry is already really high. You're going to be surrounded by people who are the can study, like at the top of their game kind. So if you compare yourself to others, it's really easy to get stressed and feel like you're falling behind. Personal experience is how I felt like during the past 2 terms of year 2. Because I'm not really that fast at completing practicals, and it takes me like 2 or 3 times to read my notes before I can really understand and remember the information that I learned. So I could really feel the pressure, especially when I look around and see that there's so many people who seem to be like gliding through the course. Disclaimer, that's how it looks on the outside. I don't know whether they are internally stressed like me, but yeah, from an outsider's perspective. When I felt overwhelmed, and when you feel overwhelmed, if my friends are watching this, here's 3 words of advice I would like to share. Firstly, just do your best and work at your own pace, because you know what is best for you, and there's no use trying to rush through and do a slipshod job just because you want to be fast. Number 2, no use comparing yourself to other people. I realized that while I look at other people and think, oh my gosh, they're so fast, why am I so slow? Doing this isn't magically going to make me better or make me faster at completing lab work. All it's going to do is make me feel worse about myself, which will just cause me to become demotivated and even slower. And third, last but not least, I really realized the importance of leaning on God, especially during tough times, right? I was really thinking to myself like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing with my life? So during this time, I really went back to the Bible verse that has been the theme and the rock of my life, Jeremiah 29 verse 11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. So yeah, whenever times are getting tough, number 1 piece of advice is to trust in God, because He has placed us where we are supposed to be and He has a plan for our lives. That concludes today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it and it has provided you a greater insight into what dentistry is like. I have more interesting content coming up, so stay tuned for that. Once again, thank you to all my friends who helped make this video possible. See you next time! So if you compare to self your others, He has placed, should I say me or you? Leaning on God and going to church and having a strong support system. Brian is making noise in the background. I feel like I'm just yapping about myself for the past 15 minutes.